Hello my quilting family. We're back again with the Churn case study. And remember how I told you to save your circles from that inset circled Churn dash? Well, this is the day we're going to use them. We're going to make this absolutely adorable art block. We're going to take a Churn dash, and you can probably do this with any other block as well, and make it into an art piece. And it still reflects that it's a Churn dash because the silhouette is there for a Churn dash. So let's get started. What you're going to need, I've decided there's two methods I use lots for machine sewing a Churn dash block, and I'm going to show you both. I'm going to leave a needle turn applique to when we start doing more hand piecing work. So you need a 13-inch block, and yes, it's oversized. So once I get all the pieces cut and laid out and sewn on here, then I trim it down to a 12.5-inch finish. You're going to need your circle. You're going to need some really lightweight interfacing, just like the lightest interfacing you could have. We're going to need that to at least cover the circle width. We're also going to do 2.5-inch square, right, with this interfacing. And I chose Heat and Bond Light, and I've got a 8-inch square. And that's going to be our, this red is going to be our Churn dash. Now on this one I used interfacing, and it took a long time to make all those points. And I'll explain how you clip the points, these points into the seam, and and then you trim in your points, your outer points and inner points. But that's for another day. But this is going to be quite easy, and we'll just be able to machine sew this down with the Heat and Bond Light. It does create a harder spot on the block, but it'll be fine. And also for the little legs and sunglasses for the accent block, we're going to need a scrap strip of dark brown and more Heat and Bond. Okay, so let's get started on the circle, because that's your biggest piece and that's in the foreground of your piece. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put right side up and this down, on top of it, and I'm just going to flip it over, and we're going to start sewing a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the outside of this. Now you can pin this if you want. I find it didn't make a difference whether it pinned it or not. But this goes pretty quick, because you're sewing just a circle. If you're not comfortable with circles or haven't sewn curves, I'm thinking about doing a segment on just curves. How do you sew different curves? But it does come together, it puts this block together very quickly. And you're not wasting a bunch of fabric. Because remember, this was a 9-inch circle we cut out. And I'm right back where I started, and I will backstitch. There we go. And so the circle now is done. So basically, now we're going to take this and separate the facing from the cotton fabric and just make a little slit. And you can make a slit, like 4 directions, all 4 directions. So what this slit does is allow you to turn. Now I'm just going to trim off the corners because we don't need all that bulk in there. Even though it's really lightweight interfacing, it will give some bulk. This is such a cool method of playing. And I'm going to show you something else what you can do once you get this circle on your 13-inch square, your neutral square. There we go. Okay, now we're just going to take this, and what I do is I kind of finger press it to the outside. I just flip it inside out. right? I mean, and now all the edges are now finished, right? So I take this and I roll that seam just to the inside a bit. And all I'm doing is finger pressing this in place, because this, one of the things with this really lightweight interfacing, you should test whether it's heat, you know, whether it'll take heat from an iron or anything like that, because if it doesn't, you don't want to be ironing this with hot iron. So, and this one in particular does not take heat, it just melts, so it'll be fine. Okay, there we go. And there we go. Now, I'm just going to position this on my 13.5-inch square. Now it really doesn't, I like the idea of it being a little offset and not dead center. So basically now, I don't have any pins, oh well. Okay, so we're going to start. Now when I top stitch this on, because my machine does straight stitch, or straight stitch, right? So I'm just going to use a very scant, maybe 1/8 top stitch around with, you know, like you can change your thread too to match the fabric you're working with. If you have decorative stitches on your machine, or if you have zigzag or something like that, oh, something dropped, okay. Or if you have something like that, it's not a problem. So we're just going to quickly go through the top stitching at 1/8 to 1/16, but you don't want to fall off your circle. And basically what you're doing is you're steering around a curve. And we are at the front. I'm going to just back stitch a bit. Okay. And snip that off as well. Now to reduce bulk, I flip this over. And just a minute here. I flip this over and I pull the layers apart, right? Like I pull the cotton away from the cotton because I don't want to cut the brown, right? Because that would be really bad. So what I do is I try and get in here and about 1/4 inch away from where that top stitching that I did, I get in here and I pull this white piece out. Now, I'm revealing the layer of interfacing and this white piece, right? Well, I also take this out as well, and I separate that again, but I don't cut it in the middle. Well, I could cut it in the middle if I wanted to, but I don't try and cut it in the middle. Well, I've already got it cut in the middle. What am I saying? Duh! But I just snip around where I've just cut that line, where I've just cut the white piece off. And guess what I do with this interfacing when I'm done? I make yet another circle. So I can make another art block some other time with a really cool batik circle with, you know, it kind of adds interest into your quilts too, and you've got other shapes and things going on. And you might as well, like if I wasn't doing this video for you right now, I would just take this, I would lay it on here and I would run it through the sewing machine, because it's the right size and everything, but we're not going to do that for now. So there we are, we've got our circle applique, machine applique on. So we're going to take now the square, and because the square is so small, I'm going to cut a little slit in it to start with, just so that I have a place to turn it. So I'm going to put the right side up, this, and we're just going to do a quick 1/4 inch around. And you want to pivot at the corners with your needle down. What I do when I'm turning this, I'm going to make sure that those corners get trimmed. So you want to trim, you want to trim right across, and then to get a point on your corners, because they should be pointy if they're a corner, you kind of trim away the excess that's going to build up there, and you just do that with all 4 corners. Now the trick is to turn this without poking a hole. There. These art blocks are lots of fun. Whenever you get a good idea, it's always cool to try them out. You know, just, it's a different exercise for your brain. There's no precision here, there's nothing, right? So, okay, so I'm just going to try and turn my corners, and I have that little tweezer. Oh, I had a tweezer. Where did my tweezer go? Here, hang on. Excuse me! There we go, and we're just going to poke out the corners. And yeah, the corners aren't really sharp corners, but that's okay. And don't poke too hard, because you will go through that lightweight interfacing, right? So now you finger press it in place, and now you're going to just finger press it, and there's our little square guy, and we're gonna do some heat and bond now for our other piece. So first I'm going to heat and bond. I'm going to go to the iron, heat and bond them, and then we're going to come back to the sewing table. Okay, so we're back, and we've applied our heat and bond to our red pieces and the legs for the little square, the square guy. So let's get this. So what I do is I fold it over, and you remember as a kid you used to make paper dolls or snowflakes or something like that? Well, this pretty much is what we're going to do here. Now, I've got my big scissors, and I'm going to cut out a middle square. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, this is an art block. And now I'm going to cut out another triangle. I want the silhouette of a churn dash. That's all I'm going for here. And I'm going to cut out another one. Okay, so all of these bits are heat and bonded. So now with this, because now I've got the top triangle parts of this, I could change this, because I can make this triangle go into a curve if I want, and kind of give it a more whimsical look to it. Don't worry, I won't be throwing out those pieces. So this is the silhouette of my churn dash I'm going to put down in place once I'm ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put him down, but I need to cut him some legs. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can't do this, just like so. Yeah, give him long legs, I guess. Sure, give him long legs. And we make little sunglasses. Give him some sunglasses. Just fine. These are so much fun. There we go. There. Oh, I need probably a bridge a little bit bigger. You can play around with these and do lots of fun stuff. When I think of applique, this kind of applique, I think of fun. Let's go have fun. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to peel these, and we're going to need a pin. So I'm going to take all of this back, and you're going to come follow me at the ironing board. Okay, so we're at the ironing board, and we've got the pieces kind of in place. Yeah, I know the legs aren't attached to this guy. But what we want to do is check with it. I'm using a 12-inch ruler, and I want to make sure nothing that I'm going to glue down is going to be outside of that 12.5. So I'm trying to place it so that this is about there. So that works for this way. And then it's not down too far. So I've got, you know, a good 1/2 inch on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to put a mark on the corner as to where I need that corner to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel this off, and I'm hoping I get it off all in one piece. Oh, maybe not. And it just comes off. Now there's a real sticky side to this. So I'm just going to slide that in there, and I'm going to check one more time, making sure the composition will fit onto the block. That way, yes. That way, yes. Okay. So now I'm just going to pull this off. I'm just going to move the little guy out of the way. And I'm just going to apply a hot iron, and I'm going to count to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we are. Okay. Now I am going to peel off the backing for the little sunglasses. And sometimes you have to kind of score them. Score it just along, and then you create a little gap, and then they peel right off. So I'm going to set mine like that, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I hope it didn't melt the back too much. Nope. Now I'm also going to make the legs happen on this guy. So is he walking towards his churn dash? Yes, he is. Okay. I'm just going to peel the legs off. And we want him to stay in frame, so we're going to check him on our little art thing. So we want to make sure that he is in the right place, because he doesn't want to be, I don't want him, because he's cute, I want him in the shot. Yes, he's that way, and yes, he's that way. Okay, let's just make this happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now he should be well glued down, and I'm going to just put a pin in here so I can stitch around the little accent guy and my churn dash, and I'll meet you back at the sewing table. Okay, we're back at the sewing machine. You can change your thread color if you want. I'm going to start with this. I always try and start with the smallest pieces first, which would be the sunglasses. because that's probably going to take the longest. So you just go a couple of stitches forward, then back up, and then I'm going to go just around, because this is what they call raw edge applique. And this is where that heat and bond works so well. And you're steering, but sometimes you gotta maneuver it just like a couple of stitches. And don't be afraid to use your hand crank for this. Okay. Go. And only pivot or change directions when you're needle up position, because that's a good idea. I probably have this sewn enough. There we go. And now we're on a straightaway. Now I'm going to top stitch the little square, because he's still loose on he is still very loose on this piece. So I'm just going to top stitch between 1/8 of an inch to 1/16, and I'm going to go right to the corner and pivot. Now I'm going to go past that first leg here. And now I'm just going to go down the leg. You want to just go down the leg. I know he kind of looks cartoonish, doesn't he? There. There we go. And I'm going to go back up on the block and try and hit your original stitch line, and then go past the second leg. And repeat. There we go. I think it's a great way to spend your day. You know, it gives you a different exercise when you're doing an art block. You know, they can be so much fun and so different and so challenging. Back on the body. Now I want to get right back to where I started here and just back stitch a bit. And now I'm going to carry my thread across to this. And I'm just going to get, there we go, just across. Just to start now on the churn dash. And you do a few back stitches. And now we start doing the curve. Now you want to go right out to the points on these. And then come back and take that curve. You might want to take the curve a little bit slower. This piece is not going anywhere because it's been pretty well glued down. And this glue, this block will hold together, you know, once it's washed, right? So I mean, you can put like that Heat and Bond light on, and you can wash it. And the only thing that may fray is maybe the very, very edge. Okay, now I'm going to go around all the outside, and then I'm going to hit all the inside, and I'll be back. So our block has now been all sewn. I've cut all those connecting threads just to clean up the block, but when you're doing a moving from one piece to the next or the next area, you do your back stitching first, and then you go all the way around the back end with the back stitch, and then move to the next area. So this block went together very quickly. I have squared it up to 12.5 inches, and I think it's kind of cute. I hope you try this or something different. I hope this sparks some creativity with you. And it was so nice to have you coming back. This is our second to last one. Our last one's going to be minis. And I'm kind of looking forward to that because I get to teach you some paper piecing. So enjoy, have fun, and have a great day. Bye! If you have questions about what you saw on this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.